To truly live and to deeply believe in something meaningful, that's truly wonderful and inspiring. Truly unprecedented new paths extend before us that await us. Cosmonauts and dreamers, with their boundless imagination and unwavering hope, claim that vibrant apple trees, laden with sweet fruit, will one day magically bloom and flourish on the distant red planet Mars, transforming its barren landscape. Cosmonauts and imaginative dreamers often claim that on the distant planet of Banz, there will one day also be flourishing apple trees, bearing sweet and crisp fruit, and alongside them, a cozy, charming little house, providing warmth and shelter. Finishes basically, but its list keeps getting filled with more and more, which is quite understandable. Here, by the way, they actually use a steel galvanized setup with a CSP underlay, I think, and even regular laminate porcelain stoneware. And as for the finishing, so they use interior panels, bamboo panels. In short, that's what they use. What we need is to achieve coziness inside. We don't need a metal surface inside, it's already outside. It feels cold inside, there should be a sense of protection and coziness, all that. These things here, maybe, well, for example, in the bathroom, these boxes here, the ones next to the bed, storage underneath, all of that. All of this could be MDF panels, facades. As for the rest, the thing about bamboo is that it can bend, join, and be trimmed as needed. All these corners here, you can even just bend them and simply glue them on. But MDF, first of all, is thick. So that's already a finishing layer. We'll have an extra 150 millimeters. So MDF, well, it's going to be, so we need to more or less decide on the material, because only then will we understand how wide these stiffening ribs should be. If it's MDF, then that's a whole different story. You can't really cut it. Well, I mean, you can, of course, but all these edges would have to be finished somehow, and it's not clear how to do all these custom things. So there are actually a lot of finishing options like fabric or these bamboo panels. As for the frame itself, it's great that Maxim, these T-shaped elements here, which allow you to attach the finishing. I was actually trying to discuss this with Sasha, but I didn't really understand how it would work. Basically, we have a lot of these vertical ones. Maybe we don't even need that many ribs because we can reduce them if we have this frame. Now you all know about it. Everyone is hoping for it. We'll have a structural frame. This is just an egg, a shell that supports itself. There's no load placed on top of it. This is an excellent solution. I really like it. There are these polygonal shapes. You probably know them, Sasha. Everyone does. A layout is made, possibly even in SketchUp or somewhere else. There the angles are specified directly, and you just bend it at a certain angle. So, for example, you don't need to shape the face separately. We'll weld the angles ourselves. The shape will already be formed, and then we can weld the ribs inside, so to speak. And now imagine assembling this. Let's say this is the front of the glamping unit, right? Here are the part numbers, and that's it. Let's get started. That's how I envisioned it. So just imagine this capsule without any ribs at all. Let's say 5mm sheets. Well, ribs are needed in some places, but overall it's already quite rigid as is. This is already a self-supporting structure that could handle, I don't know, even 3 more capsules stacked on top, and it would still hold. First of all, it's not a car, there's no vibration, nothing like that. It's just a static structure separated from the ground by grass, so ribs are definitely needed on the floor to lay things down, but overall, the number of main wall ribs can be reduced. So this is how I envision the front part, this whole story with the front. So right here we'll have this shell, the front part, and this is its frame. Maybe some crossbars will be added here, but this is where the windows go. So Maxim asked a question about where to end it, and here he doesn't really know how. Well, basically there's an understanding. So I move it over here, this rib, the unfortunate one. So what I'm talking about is the thickness, the outer diameter. Here I've added the thickness just to estimate, to imagine, to theoretically understand. This is our finished inner dimension, already taking into account the MDF or bamboo, for example. So everything plus 200 roughly, or even plus 110, that's what I'm taking. Here the ribs go, and they taper off roughly up to here. These are our stiffening ribs. Why up to here? Because here we have a vertical and we can reference it. At first glance, it all seems to be coming together well here, but in reality, it's actually difficult to get the drawings out of this later. But if you want to assemble some kind of theoretical model of how it should be, well, here it's good. So that's the kind of situation we have. Let's imagine that roughly this kind of frame is being formed here, so to speak. Yeah, it's not exact, but that's not the point. Here we have glass right on this polygon. This one right here. Basically, you can, I don't know, put glass here, and our design will match the stuff. Like, it's not just random. So we've decided on the glass like this, and then trim it along this line. Well, let's say here we have, so the first edge is here, then the door. And here it kind of tapers off. So all of this up to here we do with these rings, meaning here there's some gap, and here it should all come together fine overall. That's the main thing. You just need to catch this angle here, like this, let it just taper off. Next. There was another question. For example, if we have solid sheets, this one will be enough for the entire length. Or will we have to join sheets together, if we do have to join them? Let's say we have 5 millimeters per 3 ribs, right where the sheet joint meets. How is it welded in the middle? Is there a place for fingers there, or like us, will it just go with long pieces and that's it? These are the ones at the corners. These ones here, these are clear because you can just make a cut and simply fold, bend them. But as an analogy, on the Panther, half of it isn't cut, it's kind of bent. Well, obviously this is much smaller, so you don't need any kind of sheet bender here. But still, I think we need to focus on the most vulnerable part. Well, this vertical one. We can't do it at the corners, so it should be at the center, either here or here. Somehow, not at the corner, but make the joint in the center. And where is the floor? How can we do it? So instead of a T-shaped section, we also have this kind of view, sort of like this, basically. Connected physically from the very front directly through two aluminum towers. So we have these here. This thing here, that's ours. So one part, these two in the middle go up to the I-beams. So we just, but the contact area will be larger than if we just welded the joint, and it won't allow movement up and down. This kind of interlocking joint, I think, is an excellent idea. The idea of connecting it on the flange seemed good to me. It's welded like this and here as well, and you end up with two such joints, one on top and one on the bottom. This is a top view. So here we have this rib of the I-beam, this is ours, and this is where it connects. You could also do these things from the sides, but as for welding the corners, I don't know if that's necessary for reinforcement or not. But that's the kind of idea I have. That's how I see it anyway. So it's something kind of space age and so on. But this house is a space concept, meaning you feel cozy in space. So it's clear that it's all about growth and so on, but overall it's something like a panel with check marks, warm lighting, like you see on airplanes. There, the light shines from the sides without any unnecessary details. There's nothing that's strictly necessary, just warm backlighting, soft light, which is the most important thing. I would put a light fixture somewhere like a moon. Basically, I'd imitate it, like those portholes, to look like a window. Something that would create that kind of mood with some warm orange elements, since after all it's Mars and all that. Lighting, backlighting, something with that kind of softness, especially since our style and the shape is like that. Well, I mean, obviously I didn't force it. Anyway, the main thing is you can't change the interior dimensions because our entire layout would fall apart. As for this whole thing. So I imagined some concepts, cubes, some kind of interest in space. And there was another idea, but it kind of died in my head. That is, at first I was thinking about something. And even so, you see, the framing is kind of sketchy, but it's still fine. The platform, I think, well, okay, I agree with you. Maybe instead of a window, it could be partly aluminum frame, so it could open somehow, like in a way. Yeah. Like if you trim it, I mean, together with, but again, it would get cold. I'm thinking about that now too. Well, let's imagine it. It would open upwards together with the glass, with the whole frame, like telescopically, I don't know, upwards, yeah, something like that. Well, I don't know, that's kind of nonsense too, so I dismissed that idea. Although, in principle, it would create some kind of awning. I don't know, then what's the point of this awning? That's also a question. If it would slide away like that, well, that's just something to think about. Maybe for someone it'll turn into some kind of. There's also that other thing again. Well, overall, it's not a great idea. Here it still looks okay because it's small, just for ventilation, a summer thing for the interior. As for the interior, for me, it's not about how cool it is, but about the ergonomics. But in principle, definitely the finishing here is a separate, rather complicated detail. It's just these corners on the front that are a bit off-putting. The rest is fine. I wouldn't really change anything else, just need to synchronize the model with Maxim. For now, that's all, just to make sure all these points match up, otherwise I'll be working on the interior in the same train of thought. The whole vast, expansive, and truly magnificent universe that encompasses everything we know and beyond. To traverse. In a future time, the celestial stars will gracefully meet our beloved Earth, shining with a brilliant and captivating luminescence, and vibrant apple trees will miraculously bloom and flourish on the distant red plains of Mars. I've become truly good friends with the shimmering stars, the distant, beautiful world. Please don't worry about me at all, and certainly don't be sad, my dear. Leaving Earth, we promised that apple trees would bloom on Mars.
I'll probably start with the frame. The one you mentioned that right now it doesn't match your original drawings in terms of size. For some reason, none of the angles line up, so we need to adjust them a bit. I'll say that I don't quite agree that they need to be adjusted just because some angles here and there don't match up a little. From the very beginning, the drawings you provided, I transferred them into my program and did the layout for the sandwich panels based on them. So, starting from the dimensions you gave, I increased them outward by 24 millimeters and aligned everything. And are we going to cut the panels according to these dimensions? Then at the end, when we had the prototype ready, Artyom came over. When we looked at everything here and discussed the exterior, everyone saw it. We realized that these dimensions are more than enough for the interior space, more than sufficient. We agreed that all the exterior dimensions would remain as they are, meaning the way it looks now, all laid out on the table. Everything stands as it should, so we're working from these dimensions. I don't remember about the interior. Honestly, I can't remember if we discussed this with you or not, about leaving everything as is, for example. Well, during the conversation in the workshop, there were at least 3 of us, Sasha, myself, and Artyom, plus a few other guys. Everyone was there, everyone saw everything, and each person shared their opinion. It seemed like everything was fine, and that was more than enough. So inside, the dimensions changed by 5 centimeters by 3 centimeters. There's really nothing to worry about. We just realized that inside we still have 220 by 220. We need to maintain the ceiling height, so I had to, as I showed earlier, increase this rib down here, extend the frame downward to keep the height at 220. On the outside, it's 2750. But that overall dimension is already more than enough, even if you change it by 2 centimeters. Here, this rib, the angle will change a little, but it won't affect anything at all. So now there's plenty of space inside, and if needed, you could even increase the length by a few centimeters as an option. I think that's really unnecessary. Even if we have a large bed, a toilet, and a shower, it's all quite comfortable. Everything can be arranged. The fact that my frame right now with some angles doesn't match the picture, but I think this isn't really a reason for us to redraw the entire frame right now. It pretty much matches what was originally given, maybe plus or minus when things were changed. Yes, maybe some lines shifted. It won't be difficult, and I don't think it's worth changing the entire frame just for that right now. I don't think it's necessary to completely rebuild everything from scratch and adjust it to your dimensions. That's just my opinion, but whatever decision Artem makes, that's what we'll do. If you say we need to change and adjust Ruslan's drawings, then okay, we'll do it. But the most important thing here was that if you had been in the workshop at the time when we had everything ready, If you had been present during the discussion, we really should have finalized everything at that moment and from that approved version. We had to approve working with the frame completely without your presence. And since it was approved that way, I started working with it. So we kept the height at 220, the outer casing. We have 2 units at 750, which fit for transport, and even the table dimensions fit. So we have a 2290 millimeter table, which leaves us with a 150 millimeter margin to install the jig and start making the frame, which is fine. If we now take 2750, that would mean the inner part would start pushing out into the outer layer. There, it's 100 millimeters, even though like we have a 70 millimeter frame, meaning this thickness here is the frame, that's 70 millimeters. We'll go with 100, but I just don't understand why we need that 100. If we go beyond that, it'll simply be inconvenient for us to work, even with basic tasks, because we've already thought about how to work with this, and we're moving in that direction. To change our thinking again doesn't really make sense. I'd like you to present the drawings, the architecture of this module, so that we fit it into this architecture. There are only minimal changes to the lines here. It's just a degree or 1 or 2 degrees difference. For us, something changes by millimeters. I think that it doesn't really affect anything significant when it comes to the legs. There was also a statement that we're keeping this capsule on legs, just like you have in the video now. You're saying that everything should actually be on wheels, but you're showing a picture of a completely different object which is on wheels. And this object in all the posters and all the images is specifically on legs. And we discussed this point in the workshop. If we leave this object, this module of ours, on wheels, we even tried out those wheels, put them in place to see how it would look. It ends up looking like an ordinary Mars rover, but a spacecraft that has landed and is standing on legs looks way more impressive, even to you. That's exactly how it's shown on the banner we printed out in the workshop. So we realized that having it on legs would just look more interesting. No unnecessary moving or spinning parts, no wheels at all. Again, this helps us avoid extra complications. Just attach the leg directly to the body and it's done. We all discussed and agreed on this together. Yes, it's cool, it's awesome. With legs, it really looks like a spaceship, not just a Mars rover. Now here in the very specific nose section, there are some noticeable and important changes, because originally this particular surface, let me try to carefully show you this in more detail. If you look closely here, I've precisely aligned this prominent edge, where the arrow is clearly pointing right now, and that far, distinct edge over there into perfectly parallel lines, as you can plainly see. Originally it was bent and the glass wouldn't fit in. We need to make this parallel so that the glass unit can fit here, and Sasha and I decided that to create this parallel, we'll pull this corner outward using aluminum sheets. Also, here it will just be bent on a machine, and here it will be welded, so we'll end up with a slight adjustment. So, in a way, we even thought that, well, it's kind of cool and interesting. At least some kind of angular architecture is being integrated into the body. That's how it looks from the outside. It works like life itself, work, length, drainage, length. And here we already have a glass unit, and here as well, so that's how it's all arranged. I think it actually turned out pretty cool, as we wanted to recess the glass unit inside, but this corner, on the contrary, if you recess it, it really affects the interior finish, so we decided to bring this corner outwards and leave it that way. So, share your opinion about this. As for everything else, for now I think we should leave it as is, since we've already worked it out here. We also realized that we don't actually need to do extra welding in all these places. We'll have a special adhesive for aluminum here, and everything will be glued together. The welding will be just for the sheets themselves, except for some specific joints. Those will weld where necessary. That's regarding the body. I think we should keep our current solutions as they are and move in this direction. So for now, let's not change anything. If you need any images, just adapt them to fit our frame, and that's it. And let's approve this drawing. The width, once again, really doesn't affect anything. 5 centimeters this way or that doesn't matter. For the person inside it won't make any difference, but for us it's necessary. This way we'll fit the table dimensions during manufacturing, and for transportation it'll be a bit smaller, so we can definitely stay within 3 meters. We had a negative margin. Regarding your idea to make a separate platform here and a sliding platform to this platform, which would be separate, Yeah, we even talked to Sasha about it. In principle, it's cool. A separate object. It's not tied to anything. A separate capsule for us, like a barbecue area, a small relaxation zone. I even suggest making something like this option here at the exhibition. I saw it once. They make such purchase structures for everything, for pools, for cars. So a platform like this is made, and then these domes, meaning all the pedals open out in different directions. So that's ours. We can even move it right up to the edge. A small part like a meter over the edge, hang it, let it overhang, so make this platform and put such a dome on it. Sasha suggests not making it like this one here, with half rings, but instead making it a bit more polygonal with some edges so it fits our theme. But the point is that the platform must always be covered, otherwise what's the point of going out there if it's buried in snow or soaked with rain? So, the tables all stay as they are, and a person can step out onto the platform that extends from us, and that's it. They end up on this platform without getting their feet dirty anywhere. The tablets are loaded, the space maps are ready, and the navigator double checks the route one last time. Come on, my dear friends, let's gather together and sing a joyous song before our grand launch. We still have a precious 14 minutes left until our departure. I truly believe, my fellow adventurers, that magnificent, gleaming caravans of powerful rockets will soon carry each and every one of us triumphantly forward from one brilliant star to another, charting new courses along the ancient, dusty, and mysterious paths of countless distant, unexplored planets. Our indelible footprints, symbols of our courage and exploration, will forever remain etched upon those alien landscapes, upon the ancient, dusty paths of distant, unexplored planets. Our enduring footprints will forever remain, a lasting testament to our journey.